Hi everybody, meteorologist Eric Thomas here, although I hesitate to use the identifier meteorologist because I just got back from a weather hunt for lightning. It took me about a week and about 3,500 miles. The goal was to take pictures of lightning behind churches, and I'll leave it up to you to decide what it means to you. But in the meantime, I think it's fair to describe this entire week as a complete failure. And I'll go ahead and tell you now, I managed to get, over this past week, a grand total of one picture that I think is worthy. And so I'm going to make a short video now that you're about to see of my journey. And even though I don't have many pictures of lightning behind churches, I did manage to get some other scenes that I think might be a little bit interesting as you follow me along on this difficult road, hunting for lightning. Well, good morning. Eric Thomas here. It is Friday morning, June 2nd, 4:45 a.m., and I'm getting ready to hit the road. Going to try to make it to Memphis today and kind of have that as my base camp. Saturday storms expected to move out of Texas, Oklahoma, and maybe get into Arkansas. And so that's where I'm hoping to be by tomorrow afternoon, and that's going to be my first shot at trying to take some lightning photographs. So that's where things are right now, and I'll keep you updated as things go forward. Got my camera here, my phone, mounted on the windshield, so I'll be able to turn the camera around and maybe shoot out the front window if there's anything worth looking at during the trip. All right, so that's it for now. Wish me luck. All right, well, it's about 7:30, maybe coming up on 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm in the Asheville area, not exactly sure where, but I pulled off I-40, and because there was some just beautiful sunrise scenes here, there was some occasional valley fog that I was seeing, some fog even up on the peaks. But get this, so I pulled over and got the drone up, and a hot air balloon went up, if you can believe it. So I got some pretty good shots of this hot air balloon with this mountainscape around as well. So, hey, things have started off pretty well. Certainly didn't expect that. Going to get back on the road now and start heading toward, I think my next stop is going to be Knoxville, somewhere in there. So, also going to probably get some breakfast or something here as well. All right, we'll keep it going. Boy, this is a beautiful drive. This is Interstate 40 between Asheville and the Tennessee line, and it is just a gorgeous stretch of road, especially when you consider we're on an interstate. So the remainder of Friday was spent, well, driving across the entire state of Tennessee. Now, I did stop for a bite to eat near Nashville. I didn't go into Nashville, but I'm not going to detail every meal that I've had over the next 7 days. You're probably already bored. I don't want to make it worse. But yes, I did make it to Memphis and got settled in, and of course, I had to drive into town. People were telling me that Beale Street is the place to go for Memphis barbecue and, well, plenty of other things to do apparently, because when I got down there, my goodness gracious, it was packed. A lot of people partying already at 7 o'clock on a Friday evening, and there were some people down there who didn't look like they had good intentions either. So between all of that and my inability to park, I decided to roll on back to the hotel, but not before I rolled down this street. Not really even sure what the name of it is, but now this looked like my kind of speed. Pretty nice and quiet and placid, cobblestone road, a nice little railway going through it, but again, I was beat. And so I, at that point, had decided time to go back to the hotel and get ready for Saturday, my first day of storm chasing. So in my hunt for churches that may be candidates to shoot lightning behind, this was one that I had found on my search. This is St. Mary's Catholic Church, and this is in Altus, Arkansas. This is the hill country. I don't know if I'm technically in the Ozarks here, but this is just a spectacular church, and it's a spectacular community. I mean, you see nothing but wine fields on the way in here. This is a wine country, and I haven't been in downtown Altus yet, but I suspect it's going to be really cute and really quaint. But I'm just excited to get here and take a break and get off the interstate. I've been driving for about 3 straight hours out of Memphis, Tennessee. So good to be here. And I got some great shots of this church. I would love to get some lightning behind it, but I'm going to continue on. I'm heading toward Halbert, Oklahoma right now, hoping to intercept some storms there later today. Again, today is Saturday. So I'm basically on day 2 of my trip. So that's where things stand right now. Well, it didn't take long before I realized that the storms over Oklahoma were simply not going to develop to the point where it was worth chasing them into that state. So I decided to deviate and head straight south toward Louisiana, where I expected storms to develop around Texarkana and perhaps Shreveport. And by the time I got down there, it looked like Shreveport would be ground zero for storms. And boy, did I get in it. And in fact, I ended up in an intersection in Shreveport that had about 3.5 feet of water, and it came up to my door. And I thought I was going to stall in the middle of this intersection. It was unbelievable, but I did manage to get through it. And then not long after that, I pulled over and I did get my first shot. It's admittedly a little bit of a feeble lightning stroke behind this small urban church, but you know, at least it was proof of concept. My gear was working, and I managed to do this without getting struck, so far so good. But that was pretty much the end of the storms, and we were losing the daylight, and at that point we decided to find a hotel. Vicky, of course, my co-pilot back in Charlotte, booked me at a hotel in DeRidder, which is where I woke up the next day, and we'll take it from there. So today is day 3 of my hunt for thunderstorms. It is Sunday, June 4th, and I find myself in southern Louisiana in the small town of DeRidder, barely a dot on the map. As I drove through it, though, I had to turn around. It has this old-time charm, those small towns that are kind of throwbacks, 40, 50, maybe even 60 years ago. So I had a fun time today walking around, shooting some of the scenery, if you will, including this great store behind me called the Friendly Corner. I got to tell you though, everything is closed today. So you would think the Sunday blue laws are still in effect down here, and it's possible. Maybe they are. I'm starting to see some buildup though, those towering cumulus clouds that are oftentimes precursors to thunderstorms, but not always. But I suppose it's time to get back in the car and start the hunt again. Well, you have probably noticed by now you haven't seen a lot of lightning here over the last couple of minutes of this video, and unfortunately that's really not going to change much going forward. For the remainder of the day on Sunday, my goal was to get down to Lake Charles, and I did, got settled into a hotel, hoping to see some thunderstorms blow up. At least that was according to my data, and frankly, it really didn't happen. And in fact, the best thunderstorms blew up right over DeRidder. I would have been better off just staying put. Nonetheless, there were a few thunderstorms in the area, so you know what I did? I jumped in the car and I went chasing. Well, I'm hunting another promising storm in Eunice, Louisiana, but as this entire trip is pretty much gone, this one also now, according to radar scope, is starting to flame out. And that's the way it's been. I've been trying to play whack-a-mole, and I see a storm blow up 30 minutes from me. By the time I get there, the lightning is over, and I have a feeling we're going to be in the same spot here. And that's the nature of these pulse storms. There's just not a whole lot of dynamics out there. These storms are not moving, and so they blow up, but they pretty much rain themselves and drown themselves out because they're stationary, and once that downdraft hits from the rain falling, it snuffs it out. Pretty much like a candle snuffer. If any of you folks out there have any idea what I'm talking about. But maybe I'll get lucky. There's still a few lightning strikes left. And of course, I'm losing the heat of the day, which isn't helping matters either. That's about the only thing that even got these things started in the first place. Well, with Sunday in the books and nothing to show for it except for that tour of DeRitter, Monday has arrived, and as it turns out, this would be the most productive and fruitful day of the entire week, although with the bar set so low, that's not necessarily saying much, but I set off from Lake Charles and I headed back north, but not to DeRitter this time. I stopped at DeQuincy. I was targeting 2 churches up in this area, the First Baptist Church in Longville, which is about 20 miles northeast of DeQuincy, and Grace Church, which was right in DeQuincy itself. And you've seen a look at both of those 2 churches here as I'm talking. Now, I did get up there early because I wanted to plan ahead. A really well-organized line of storms this time appeared to be heading in that direction. So I got a few pictures in the early going, then I took a break and walked around DeQuincy itself. Again, another pretty cool town. Not as quaint as DeRitter, but still interesting. Had a good personality to it. A little bit of a vibe going on here. Had an old train station and some mosaics here on the buildings. Kind of liked it. All right, but the storm started to approach, and here we go. Out ahead of the line of storms forms a couple of smaller thunder showers. Well, the problem with that is, first of all, they went around my target, which, by the way, I did decide on Grace Church. I thought that was the prettier of the 2 in DeQuincy. So not only did these storms go around the church, which, by the way, with my drone, at least you can see here, I did get some lightning strikes, but I had to shoot them from the backside of the church. That's not the goal, but at least it gave me something to do. The other problem with these thunder showers is they cooled the atmosphere, which means now the atmosphere is stable, and as the main line of storms moved into the picture, well, they ran out of gas because, well, the atmosphere was sapped of the potential energy that they would have been drawing from. So I did get some action around DeQuincy, but it definitely wasn't what I hoped for. So continuing, I saw this line of storms heading north toward Shreveport. Normally you can never catch these storms, but leave it to me to give it a shot. Well, as it turns out, I did catch them, and I did manage to finally get a shot that I thought was worthy of framing, putting on the wall, creating a book, whatever the case may be. But this is the First Baptist Church in Converse, Louisiana. And this is the picture you saw near the beginning of this video, and well, it certainly made the day all worthwhile. I don't know if it made the trip all worthwhile, but at least I got one shot. So from here, it got dark, the storm peeled away, and I thought, where am I going to stay for the night? So why not? I headed over to Northeast Louisiana, Monroe to be specific, and that's where I worked for 4 years, from 1984 to 1988, and yes, it's also where I met Vicki, my wife, and of course the rest was history. So it was fun to stop by Monroe and relive a few of those memories. So Tuesday was essentially a travel day as I started around the bend and head back east toward the Carolinas. I had made arrangements to visit my friend Mark, who lives down on the Gulf Coast in Foley, Alabama. And overall, I didn't expect much action, but as it turns out, as I was passing through Mobile, Alabama, there was a storm off to the north, and I thought, why not? So I spontaneously pulled over, and I put the drone up, and you know what? It worked out pretty well. And this ends the day on Tuesday. And with my trip not ending until Friday night, you might think there's a lot more to come, but you would be wrong. Believe it or not, the remainder of the week I was almost completely shut out. This is partly due to the fact that there weren't that many storms around, and even when I did catch up to a storm, even in Florida, there were just too many trees, and I couldn't get a good shot off. So at that point, it was time to go home. I have 2 scenes left to show you. One is a simple time lapse, and the other one was a lightning strike that I did catch from a rest area on I-95 North in Florida as I was heading back home on Friday evening. Thanks for watching, and next time around, I'm going to head to the high plains, and hopefully I'll have some better luck.